Hello, my name is Ameen Soleimani. I'm here to present Privacy Pools version 0. It's the sequel to Tornado Cash. Show of hands, who's heard of Tornado Cash? Great. Agenda. So, going to talk about a couple things. Why privacy, history of Tornado Cash, Privacy Pools v0, and next steps. I tweeted this slide, and it went kind of viral. I hadn't made the rest of the presentation yet, and then I was like, oh, crap, I have to keep going and finish the rest of the presentation. I got about halfway done, so this is actually, I tweeted my slides, and then I end up putting my tweets in, because I only got halfway done, so then now the second half of the presentation is my tweets. It'll be fine. Why privacy? Because privacy is normal, you fucking freaks. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's deeply sociopathic to try and get everyone to share their secrets so you benefit from them. Also because full surveillance CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, are coming. And you do not want the government to see your whole transaction history. Every time you buy something, you can have money that expires. It's going to be a whole mess. And because governments abuse their power all the time. Zuko, I think, actually put it really well in a Bankless episode where he was talking about how Poland had really great KYC procedures and how the Nazis were thrilled to discover this when they took over Poland and wanted to hunt down all the Jews. So be careful how you design your systems, because you might not be the one that abuses them, but somebody else that inherits it from you will be. And because the future that we are preparing for is one in which it is every human on the planet against every abusive government on the planet. I'm going to talk about the history of Tornado Cash a little bit. Ethereum nerds wanted a mixer for personal privacy. We got tired of throwing our money through Coinbase every time we wanted a fresh wallet, and low-level support engineers at Coinbase have access to your entire transaction history. Not a very private system. So Moloch DAO gave the first grants to Tornado Cash. It was the second ZK Snark deployment in history. We had a big 1,000-person trusted setup ceremony, and the PepperSec Tornado Cash team actually rage-built the dApp in 3 weeks after being rejected. They were a finalist, but we went with the other guys. And they were so mad, they just built the whole thing, and it was beautiful. And so we gave them a retroactive grant for the work that they did. We paid for the future dev, for the audits, for the trusted setup. And our final contribution was to make sure that the admin key was set to 0. Now keep in mind, we actually had to hack the contract and all the users in it ourselves twice, because we found 2 different bugs. One the Tornado team themselves found, another was found by EF research team, Kobe Gherkin. And we were, after that, we waited a bit, and we're like, well, let's hope there's no third bug. YOLO. Everything seemed to be going fine until North Korea stole $600 million from a video game and started laundering it. And so on March 29th, North Korea hacked Axie Infinity for $600 million. On May 8th, OFAC sanctioned Blender, a custodial mixer that North Korea used to mix 20 million. And then on August 8th, OFAC sanctioned the Tornado Cash contracts, which North Korea used to mix $100 million plus. And that same week, the Netherlands arrested Alexei Pertsev. This is one of the rallies that was held in the Netherlands in support of Alexei. You can see people have signs that say things like open source is not a crime, privacy is not a crime. You have another sign that says, would you arrest a gun maker for facilitating a public shooting? And now, that's not really the best, example that you might want to draw on. But it does make the point that there are people who are turning a profit for selling guns, and they are in no way held accountable for the downstream uses of those guns. Free Alexei. He has been in jail for 6 months for writing code. and he is accused of money laundering and is denied bail. Please follow on Twitter free__Alexei. Please donate to his legal defense fund by emailing hello@peppersec.com. Malik Dow has donated 200 ETH, and Gnosis has donated as well. In the aftermath of Tornado Cash, U.S. citizens can no longer use it. U.S. citizens with funds in Tornado Cash have to petition OFAC for a license to withdraw their funds. Now, only criminals, non-U.S. citizens, and authorized U.S. government employees are allowed to use Tornado Cash. You're very welcome. Promoting the use of Tornado Cash can be considered conspiracy to violate international sanctions. And if you know much about Virgil's case, you know that they actually didn't get him on violating international sanctions itself. They got him on conspiracy to violate international sanctions. He was trying hard enough that they could throw him in jail for 6 years. So, Tornado Cash, I guess it worked. It cleaned or mixed about $8 billion. About 3% of all of the ether. And despite being sanctioned by the US government, it is still on track to anonymize about $250 million in 2023. You can't ban Tornado Cash. You set the admin 0. You can only ban yourself from using it. Last month, the St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank published a report on Tornado Cash, and they explored the trade-off between regulation and privacy. So, to regulate effectively, they believe that users should have to provide receipts to a regulated intermediary, thus revealing their entire transaction history. And they conclude, crypto asset mixers such as Tornado Cash may become an integral part of public blockchain infrastructure. I was shocked when I read this. But I was very impressed with their report, and it's great to see the recognition of privacy as something valuable. So, I'm going to talk about privacy pools. It's a new product we're launching today or something. Tornado Cash had a critical flaw. Users were not able to prove that they weren't associated with North Korea. And Vitalik, smart as he is, had an idea. What if users could prove that they weren't some subset of the deposits? And so we have arrived at self-sovereign anonymity, where users can choose to exclude some subset of depositors when they withdraw without revealing who they are. So this is Vitalik's first description of the idea. Let's see if this works.
Like one simple thing that you can do, right, is you can create a, like, say, Tornado Cash-like mixer where when you withdraw, in addition to just making a zero-knowledge proof that proves that like you have a valid deposit and that your valid deposit wasn't spent yet, you could also make a zero-knowledge proof that says this withdrawal is not part of like one of this set of deposits, or this withdrawal is part of one of this subset of deposits. So you would not reveal exactly who you are. You would not even reveal exactly who you are to like one specific group. So like this is not like one of those backdoor key type of proposals, right? But what you would be doing is you would be saying like, I am some participant in this ecosystem, but I am not a hacker.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, now I'm just going to show you the demo. For this one, I'm going to mute my computer though, and I'm going to simply play this video. And I will just narrate it. Can you guys see what's going on? All right. The reason I have to do this is because we're like almost done with this. It has like a couple bugs. I can't do the demo live. It's very frustrating. I'll explain why in a second. But here what's happening is that we are depositing into our fork of Tornado. I was having a great hair day. Right now the deposit is confirming, and there's some off-screen, MetaMask stuff going on. And so after we place our deposit, the cool thing about the system is that we can pick, like, you have to like point and click manually. You'll see in a second. He clicks on the subset maker here. And so you can create a subset of all of the deposits that you don't want to be associated with. And so here, they're going to pick, deposit 0, like fuck this guy, I don't want to be associated with them. Number 5 and number 21, those are the terrorists or maybe people that smell bad or whatever. And so then after you pick the subset that you don't want to be associated with, you generate a Merkle proof or a ZK proof that you are not in that set, and then you submit that on the blockchain when you go to withdraw. And what that does is it publicly proves that you are none of those people, but without revealing who you are. And the really cool thing is that anyone can actually go and verify this. And the way they do that is you click on this Explorer button, and you come down here, and you can click on an individual withdrawal, and then you can see in the withdrawal, let me pause this right here, right? You can see in the withdrawal that you have these 0, 5, and 21 that are like provably excluded from that withdrawal. So you're like, I am not those guys. Okay, so that's the demo. Now I'm going to talk about it. So now we're moving into the second part of this, which is my tweets. So in my personal opinion, this is on privacypools.com, by the way. I took the meme from the World Economic Forum ZK researchers. They called it privacy pools. I was like, great, I'm buying it. With privacy pools, just because someone deposits into the same smart contract as you, it doesn't mean they can force you into sharing an anonymity set with them. It's your choice. And this is the fundamental flaw of Tornado Cash that this fixes. And some people might think this is narcware, but I disagree. I think that because privacy pools enhances user sovereignty by giving users more choice, not less choice, I don't believe it counts as narcware. So what is next? Privacypools.com is not the final product. We are shipping this to start a conversation. We want to help regulators understand a potentially more attractive equilibrium between privacy and regulation that we didn't know existed a few months ago. And so the Federal Reserve folks that wrote this paper, they came to the conclusion that if we want to have privacy on a public blockchain, somebody needs to have the receipts, somebody regulated. And that reveals your whole transaction history. I think we can do better than that. And the way we can do better than that is by proving that we are compliant, but not necessarily having to reveal our entire transaction history. And we're optimistic that this represents a better middle ground and want to help inform everybody about this and rally people to help contribute. So for this to work, we need data providers like Chainalysis, TRM Labs, to do tracebacks on deposits. It's too hard to create lists of all the addresses all over the place. But once people deposit, you can do a traceback and say, hey, is this deposit coming from an illicit source of funding? And then we need UI providers to reference those lists. And somebody might ask, oh, well, what about the time delay? What if I just put the money in real fast and take it out before they figure out I'm a terrorist? And you can actually socially solve this problem by requesting that basically anybody who withdraws also proves that they are none of the deposits in, say, the last 3 days. And that gives the list generators time to make sure that the source of funding is not illicit. And maybe they just keep it on the list until they're, reasonably sure. And so you might get something like on your UI, you have a drop-down, and it's like the, Chainalysis terrorist list, and it's like definitely a terrorist, maybe a terrorist, possibly a terrorist, and you just like check, check, check. And so we are not finished. We plan on doing a sponsor for a follow-up grant for additional feature development, open to collaborating with anyone interested in pushing this idea forward. Please DM to be invited to our Privacy 2.0 discussion group. Thank you for that. And I'm going to do one more shout out, and this is for Chainway. Be sure to check out the excellent work they did with Proof of Innocence, which is basically the same thing as privacy pools, but it was designed for the existing Tornado Cash deployment. So, yep, that is it. Welcome to the future, and thank you for listening to my talk.